Judea was governed by Roman prefects who oversaw the military, the collection of imperial taxes, and when needed, judged on behalf of the empire. The fifth prefect of Judea, Pontius Pilate, was returning to Jerusalem. The people had grown restless under Roman yoke, and Pilate had agitated resentment by spending the temple tax on a new aqueduct.
Pilate.
Commander, there was no need to go out of your way.
There is great need. The Jews are rising in protest.
It's to be expected. We knew the use of temple funds would rile them. Now, they have a glorious 50-mile aqueduct. They will thank me in the end.
Pontius, I must insist you take another route. They've surrounded the fortress.
They're only Jews, Fabius. If it gives you comfort, disperse your men into the crowd under cover. No swords.
Clubs?
Only on the fanatics.
Pilate, give the order.
Do it.
The blows of the Romans' clubs killed protesters and bystanders in the streets. Many innocent people were trampled to death as protesters fled.
And what of Barabbas?
He's been arrested. We're too disorganized. If we united and mobilized, we could overthrow the Romans as Judah Maccabee overthrew the Greeks.
Quiet, boy! You know the fate of dissenters. These hills are lined with the crucified. So keep your head down, or they'll nail your hands and feet to wood and leave you to hang for days, slowly bleeding out until you die of exhaustion.
It was the busiest time of the year in Jerusalem, the Passover festival, and hundreds of thousands of people swarmed into the city. Among them came Jesus, a rabbi from Nazareth, north of Jerusalem. Riding a donkey and surrounded by his students, Jesus was one of many who spoke passionately against the corruption of the temple priests. Those who protested the priests in public put their lives at great risk, for the priests were allies of the tyrannical Roman oppressors. Jesus strode into the temple courtyard, saw the moneylenders, the high prices, the poor struggling to afford their offerings. Disgusted, he suddenly kicked over the moneylenders' entire table.
It is written, my house will be a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of robbers.
The temple guards watched on, but could do nothing.
He overthrew the moneylenders' tables? Why did you not arrest him? So he has deceived you, too. That mob knows nothing of the law. Bring him in.
Our law does not condemn a man without a hearing.
What, old judge? Are you from Galilee, too, that you believe in charlatans and false prophets?
His words echo the frustrations of the populace. It would be fools to arrest him in public. It would incite a riot, and any disturbance of the peace will bring the wrath of Rome upon us.
Have the spies follow him for now. I want to know his every move.
Jesus sat by the temple and spoke out against the hypocrisy of the priests who had elevated themselves in both power and comfort over the rest of the Jews. As time went by, he drew an ever-growing audience.
Beware the teachers of the law. They walk in flowing robes and love to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces. They devour widows' houses, and for a show they make lengthy prayers. In truth, they care only for their Roman masters. These men will be punished severely. As for what you see here, this beautifully adorned temple, the time will come when not one stone will be left standing.
As Jesus gained support among the locals, the priests who had been corrupted by Roman authority saw him as a clear threat to their standing. They lobbied for his arrest. Fellow rebels from the north arrived to support the protest, only to be immediately arrested, chained, and brought before Pontius Pilate.
Rabbi, they tell me you are the leader of this rebellion. Is it true?
I am not their leader, but I will speak on behalf of the Jews.
The priests say you've been called King of the Jews.
They do not see that my kingdom is not of this world, but of the world to come.
Wake up! Don't you hear the charges against you? Hundreds of men will lose their lives if you don't give me a defense I can use.
We have spoken against the priests corrupted by Roman rule. I cannot lie, for I was born to testify to the truth. That is the divine kingdom. We will sacrifice our lives for truth.
Priest, this preacher has broken no Roman law.
He is the symbol of revolt. What will you do when he rallies his followers against Roman rule? How will you answer to Caesar?
There is a custom that on the festival of Passover, one prisoner be released. I will give the people a choice between Barabbas and Jesus of Nazareth. Let them decide. In celebration of the Passover festival, Caesar grants pardon to one prisoner. Choose between these two: the notorious Barabbas, enemy of the state, or Jesus, the rebel preacher from Nazareth. You must decide. Very well. Barabbas will be spared and released. For the preacher, crucifixion. Let it be known that I wash my hands of this man's blood. Put him with the condemned.
The Roman soldiers stripped Jesus, placed a scarlet robe on him, and drove a crown of thorns onto his skull. They knelt before him, mocking him. The Romans disrobed Jesus and dragged him, with the others, to collect a wooden cross. The rebels carried the unbearable weight of their death sentences out of the city to the hill of crucifixions. The line of prisoners were each nailed to a cross. Their screams of pain carried on the wind. The growing crowd first mocked the dissenters, then fell to silence as they watched in horror. As darkness swept across the land, Jesus cried out his final words of surrender.
Father, into your hands I commit my spirit.
A Roman soldier stepped forward and pierced Jesus' side with his lance. The rabbi was as still as the grave. The death of Jesus marked the birth of a bloody rebellion against the brutal oppression of Rome. A rebellion that would continue for the next 70 years.